Now, Eyewitness Sports.
And welcome to episode 51 of Double OT with Mark Dondero. I'm Yanni Karakis, approaching the one-year anniversary of this fine video and podcast. Still aren't shaving, are you?
Every now and then I let it sing.
Sing?
Let my face sing a little bit. If I'm not on TV.
Are you a traditional shaving cream and razor
Shaving
guy?
cream and razor.
Electric?
Shaving cream. No, not electric. Shaving cream and razor.
All right, good to know. So am I. The electric. Your skin has to be like
I've
conditioned
never
to do that.
ever used an electric.
My dad does electric.
Okay.
If you're in a pinch and have to do electric, it hurts.
Yeah.
I don't recommend it.
All right.
All right, let's start. Busy day. We're talking Red Sox. We're talking scandals. We're talking playoffs. Let's start with Isaiah Thomas. IT 53, 1 point shy of the NBA playoff record for the Celtics, just below John Havlicek. Incredible performance last night. We know he's good. We know the Celtics right now are positioning themselves to be potentially a championship contender while getting top 4 pick in the draft. Is Isaiah Thomas the next great Celtic to build around?
I don't love this question. Is he the next great Celtic to build around? I would say no. He's a great player. I love Isaiah Thomas. I love his game. I love his chip. I love his edge. I love his heart, his mental toughness. I love a lot about Isaiah Thomas. But I was in the locker room after game 1, okay? And we were waiting to talk to some of the players. Isaiah Thomas did not speak in the locker room that night. That was the night he lost his tooth.
Right.
And I just turned to my right, and he took his shirt off, his jersey off, put a T-shirt back on. Yeah. And I'm looking at him, and I'm thinking to myself, like, that guy at that size, like, incredible. Because he's not a big man.
No.
Obviously, he's only 5'9",
5'9".
but just even as far as thickness, not a very thick man. And the pounding that an NBA game offers is just incredible. And the fact that he is able to produce offensively the way he does, you give him a big contract now. And if the Celtics have to give out a max contract, and they're not, and giving it to Isaiah Thomas wouldn't necessarily impede their ability to give it to somebody else, then sure, give him the money, because he's a really good player. And by the way, what he's doing in the playoffs is speaking to me, okay? Because I thought that he was really good, but come playoff time, and we're in the second round now, so you can't discount this. I don't care what the Wizards play defensively or whatever. This is something. He has shown me something. So I've altered my perception of him, but I'm not sure, based on his size going forward, he's almost 30, the way he plays, he's in the lane a lot. I'm not sure that he's the long-term person that you build around if the Celtics are going to win a title sooner rather than later. I'm still not sure that he's on the team.
All right, he will be the next, or is the next great Celtic. They build around him. The offensive output he has, listen, he's not great defensively, but what he did in the regular season, all-star caliber. What he's doing in the playoffs, as you noted, that's what you're paying these guys for, to perform in big moments. And we know that his points per game, his average increases in the fourth quarter, in overtime. We see him get to the line, hit meaningful free throws. And at the end of the day, you're paying for someone to get you to the next level. How many players do we see, Mark, that are great regular season players and they don't do anything for you in the playoffs? Carmelo Anthony's never been to a conference finals. Chris Paul's never been to a conference finals. Those players are better than Isaiah Thomas. But if he can be your number one scorer, and Al Horford got a lot of beating this season for not being a huge stat guy. He's emerged. And you go get a Gordon Hayward or someone like that, with those three and a pick, a top 4 pick, I think they position themselves nicely. I'm all in on Isaiah Thomas, and I think the fan base and the teams rallying around him, he is the heart and soul of this team. So I expect them to roll with IT going forward.
I'd like to see a little bit more this postseason, as far
if they lose to the Wizards,
let's see how it goes. Right. Let's see how he does in Game 3 on the road. Let's just see. Yeah. I loved what he did in Game 2. That was listen. No matter what you think he is or isn't, that was an all-time playoff performance. Iverson couldn't have done it better than what he did the other night. That was unbelievable. But again, we're talking about, let me ask you this question: will he go down as a better Celtic than Antoine Walker when it's all said and done?
Yes. Listen, we grew
Walker
up
took him to the conference finals.
We love Twanny, but he was an inefficient player. He was shooting threes then like people shoot threes now, but not at a high percentage.
I just wanted to see how easy that yes was. I wanted to see how easy that yes was.
And I
agree with
you. Pierce, and I would have said no way.
No, I agree with you with Antoine
and
Walker.
There's not really, other than the legends, Havlicek, Bird, and Russell, and Kuzi, and Pierce, there's who else has been an alpha dog over the Celtics that hasn't been a Hall of Famer? Like, Pierce is a Hall of Famer.
And the other thing is, too, I think, is he a max contract guy or is he a superstar?
They give out max
that's a different question. Right, that's a different question.
Now.
Right.
I think superstar comes with endorsements and commercials and national pub. He led PTI today. We watch PTI every day. He's been on there
Listen, he has been unbelievable. You have to give him his respect. Again, no matter what you think of him, that performance was just incredible.
Oh, yeah.
And you have to give him his due for what he did, especially among everything that's gone on personally with him over the course of the last few weeks. But again, let's see how the series plays out on the road. Can they close it out against Washington, a team that's, top 7, top 6 in the whole NBA?
Yeah.
I mean, if he can deliver this series, then we'll have another conversation. But for now, let's have another conversation and talk about this series some more because the Celtics are up 2-0 going back to Washington, a place they haven't won this year. Will the Celtics close the deal and win this series based on what you've seen?
Eventually, I don't think they clean up in Washington. Maybe they take one, it comes 3-1, they win game 5 here, 3-2. I think the Celtics ultimately win in 7 games. I initially said Wizards in 7. Now I'm changing my tune. Just the odds are now in the favor of the Celtics being up 2-0. I think the Wizards have shown with these hot starts that they can score in bunches. I think when John Wall and Bradley Beal can coexist together coherently, both scoring, they're very dangerous. Obviously, they don't have a bench that's great, that can provide them meaningful minutes and huge shots. I think Morris coming back from the ankle as that kind of heals, he'll add to that. But I expect them to go back to Washington and get a game, if not 2, and make this a series. I don't think this is a cakewalk, and we saw how vulnerable the Celtics were in the Bulls series, losing the first 2. So we can see these things kind of change within a series. So I think Celtics ultimately in 7.
I still think it's a long series. Yeah, I said 7. Celtics in 7 to begin the series. I'll keep that prediction intact. They haven't won in Washington this year. Like you said, the Wizards were right there. They've had hot starts, big leads, 16-0 to start the first quarter in game 1. I mean, it's not like they're just completely inept, and especially at home, a place where the Celtics have had issues. I think it's a long series, but let me tell you what I hope will happen. I hope that the Celtics sweep them away, and I hope the Cavs sweep away the Raptors, and we get an Eastern Conference final. Cavs, Celtics, both teams on fire, and then we'll find out how close the Celtics really are. Because if they get swept by the Cavs, if they push them to 7, if they win, we will find out. And ideally, we'll probably find out anyway if the Celtics win the series and the Cavs win. But ideally, I would like them to be both playing their best at the beginning of an Eastern Conference final situation. But at the end of the day, I think it'll be Celtics in 7 or 6 at worst.
And listen, I think John Wall's going to play better down the stretch than he played the other night, and I think he will. Interesting, John Wall, highly hyped, number 1 pick, terrific player. I think he's top 3 point guard.
Yeah.
But has IT outplayed him this year?
Of course he has. Here's the problem with John Wall. Top 3 point guard. He is the flash. He has the size, the quickness, electric, athletic ability. But basketball is a make-miss game. Can you put the ball in the cup when it matters? Isaiah Thomas has severely outplayed him in that regard. Thomas can put the ball in the basket, and Wall hasn't in clutch moments, at least. I mean, I know he had 40, whatever.
There was a moment last night where he was running at full speed, and Kelly Olynyk looked like he was
incredible.
In the mud.
Russell Westbrook-esque, the speed and explosiveness. But in crunch time, I mean, what was it, 29 in the 4th in overtime for IT?
Yeah.
Wall ain't doing that.
All right, let's switch gears to baseball. Big story involving Adam Jones the other night at Fenway Park, where he received some racial slurs thrown at him, literally a bag of peanuts thrown at him. This has ignited some conversation about Boston, black players specifically coming to Fenway, receiving racial epithets, and how the whole situation was handled, MLB involved, and so forth. What did you make of the whole thing, and is this, emblematic of Boston fans as a whole? We both grew up here. We've been to games at Fenway a lot. I personally have never heard that word used at a game. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist, but what did you make of this?
Obviously, I hated it.
Yeah.
You know what I thought of? Here's what I thought of. One of my first thoughts was, if that happened in my presence and I was at the game sitting there and somebody behind me yelled a racial slur at an African-American player, how would I have handled that? Would I have gotten up and yelled at the man? Would I have gotten up and thrown something at the man? Would I have just given him a dirty look? If I had done that, would that have been enough?
Right.
And I was bothered by that mental dilemma because, A, I didn't know what the right thing to do would be, and B, I don't know what I would have done. Obviously, it sickens me, it disgusts me that somebody would say something like that, and it disgusts me that somebody would say something like that. Because I don't know why you would ever say something like that, especially but at a baseball game with kids and families. I don't know what you want me to say. It disgusted me. I hated the story. I hated hearing it. I just hated everything about it, and I'm embarrassed. You know, just from you, like you said, we're both from New England, and I've gone to Red Sox games. I grew up in Massachusetts. I hate it. I was disgusted and felt awful for Adam Jones.
That's interesting that you asked how would you react, because if the guy is hammered drunk, are you just giving him a bad look? Because do you say something to him
There's no excuse.
And you start fighting?
Hammered, yeah, exactly. I don't know.
There hasn't been a lot of stories from people in there that have an eyewitness account of it.
Right.
But obviously anytime anyone says that, hey, cool out, guy, enough with that. Maybe you walk to the bathroom and tell the usher, hey, the guy in the red shirt, he's had one too many and he's saying racial slurs, get him out of here. It's really too bad because I don't think that represents Boston and Boston fans. But players say they hear it more here than they ever do. Is that because Red Sox fans are jawing at players more? They're more into it? And that, do we have a higher population percentage-wise of racists in Boston? I don't think so. But, you know, the Red Sox don't exactly have the greatest history with race. They were the last team to integrate. Yawkey was notoriously racist. Obviously, you have the Bill Russell stories in the 60s, so there is a bit of a checkered past in Boston in terms of racial components. But that being said, I don't think, you know, the city of Boston is racist, and that is sort of a narrative that kind of has gained some traction nationally. That's really too bad because a couple idiots, so reprehensible from.
I was happy to see them applaud and stand and cheer for Adam Jones the next night, and. You know, again, this idiot, whoever said this, by the way, you do realize that the Red Sox best player is African American, don't you? I mean, so I don't know what we're doing here. Disgusting all around. I know there was some talk.
You got David Price saying he's heard it recently.
Right.
Carl Crawford. I mean, in 2017, I don't know how this
people were calling for proof. Did Jones really hear that? You know, in a situation like that, I'm not going to question. I don't blame somebody for calling for some proof or asking. But I'm not going to accuse a man of doing something like that, because if that ever happened, I would consider that as bad as racism. If somebody made something up, that would be terrible too. So, no. Anyway, so that was one aspect of this Red Sox-Orioles situation. The other began when Manny Machado, back on April 23rd or in and around that date, you know, slid into Dustin Pedroia, spiked high. Pedroia had to leave the game. Then a few beanballs went flying. The question here is, what's the question? How the Red Sox has this ignited a rivalry for the Red Sox and Orioles?
I think so. We talked last week about how Red Sox and Yanks lacks a little sizzle right now. I think this has ignited a rivalry between the Red Sox and Orioles. And it's crazy how long it's gone on by. You were trying to remember the date in which Spikes up to Pedroia. That seemed like an eternity ago. And you know what? I thought last night he was going to be kumbaya, we're all done, after the standing ovation for Jones. And then Sale goes right after Machado, which I think was perfectly circumstantial, because Sale's the new Red Sox. He wants to throw his hat in the ring. Hey, I'm one of the guys. I got your back, you got mine.
Was that retaliation for Betts getting hit?
Yes, the night before. But the Red Sox, I will say this, have been a little bit inconsistent in the unwritten plunking rules. I think the retaliation should certainly be the same game, if not the next inning. You can't do what they initially did and plunk Machado 2 days after Pedroia gets spiked. Do it the next day. Do it that night if Machado is up. So I think the Red Sox have been a little inconsistent on that front. But Buck Showalter saying he was going to sit Machado because he was worried about him. You can't do that. This is part of the game. And Sale threw behind his leg. He has yet to be actually hit Machado. But I thought his tirade last night was terrific.
Terrific.
Baseball needs that sort of fire,
and I thought he made a lot of decent points,
too.
Okay, here's part of the problem. Number one, one thing that didn't help this situation was that the schedule fell the way it did. Red Sox, Orioles, 2 weeks, this week and next week.
Right.
So that didn't help the situation. A major person that I assign the blame to is Matt Barnes, because that schmo couldn't even hit Machado correctly.
Yeah.
He had to go and let it loose and go towards his head.
Yeah,
that's not what you do. If he just plunked him on the butt, this would have gone away. It would have ended it. And like you said, a lot of times when I was in college, guy pimped a home run against us down 4-0. The next batter got hit and it was over. That was it.
Yeah.
That's more efficient. Then it doesn't linger. All right, you hit him, it's over, it's over.
That.
But yeah, so they wanted to get Machado, but you don't wait that long. And then when you do, you don't throw it near his head.
Yeah,
so I didn't like that. And then, you can go back. Dustin Pedroia I don't think handled it well with the way he was trying to defend that. Oh, it wasn't me, it was them. And you're like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
We have no accountability. We don't know what's going on.
Can't have it both ways.
It was a.
You ever get plunked?
Hot mess express.
What's the fastest pitch you got hit by?
I've gotten plunked intentionally.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you a funny story. I was on the bench. I think I was DHing that game. We were up 4-0. Guy hits a home run. I'm pissed because he pimps it.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure our pitcher is going to be ballsy enough to throw at him.
Yeah.
Good friend Eric Lowe. Next batter comes up. Lowe plunks him right in the back.
Yeah.
So I love it. So I'm going crazy from the dugout, going nuts. Yeah. And then because I was going so crazy, my coach had to literally shove me into a storage closet to shut me up so I didn't get ejected from the game for going crazy. So I tripped over a bucket of balls into the closet. I shut up. We won the game.
Did you have that shit-eating grin on your face the whole time?
I was so mad that he pimped it, and then when Lowe actually hit him, I was so happy. And then and he did it correctly, right in the back. Nobody was hurt. Sent the message. We win the game. I went into the closet. It's fun.
What's the sting like?
Well, it depends on where you get hit.
Yeah.
It hurts. I mean, one time I got hit right here. It was the most painful thing I've ever
Remember
had.
Rundown or Pickle? Did you ever play that game growing up?
You get pegged?
The 60 mile, like when you're 12, when one kid throws 60 and he gets you in the back.
All right,
like,
let's go.
All right, final topic. Malcolm Butler reportedly at Gillette Stadium for workouts this week. We all thought he was good as gone. Traded to New Orleans. That didn't go through. $3.9 million on the books. Looks like he's staying here, barring something going down. He has incentive to do well, to play for a big contract that he thinks he deserves, that he certainly does deserve. What do you make about the Pats and Butler getting along and making this work despite their divorce almost settled already?
I'm not surprised. I've been around Malcolm Butler enough. I don't know him personally, but I've interviewed him. I've been around him enough. The man is a team-first guy, understands the business. I think he has a good head on his shoulders as far as perspective goes. So I'm not surprised that he decided to show up. And he made his point. I think we all know how he feels. I think we all understand how he feels. But he decided, I'm putting the team first. I'm sure there's still a part of him deep down that is still grateful to the New England Patriots for giving him the chance. I'm not saying that's the wrong attitude or the right attitude.
But he's probably a mother effing Belichick also.
And that's okay. And he can go MF him all year long. I'm okay with that. Just listen to him.
Yeah.
That's being professional. You don't like everything that your bosses always tell you to do, but we do them, and you just do it because that's what you do. But I wasn't surprised by the report that he showed up, and I bet you, based on everything we heard, he'll be ready to work.
Yeah, it's going to be great first media availability when everyone swarms to Butler.
And he'll say all the right things.
Well, he's going to say not much of anything.
He will say nothing inflammatory.
Couple things. First, from a Patriot team and fan perspective, this is great news because you get the player for the year. We didn't know who was going to be opposite Gilmore. Now you have two all-pro players there. So I think from an on-field perspective, this is great. I think Belichick certainly is mature enough, and Butler is mature enough to make this relationship work, even if it's contentious. Bill's okay with every player not exactly loving him at the moment because of contracts.
Right.
Now, sometimes that means you're leaving town, in the case of Jamie Collins, or you're going to hold out, like we've seen with Logan Mankins. But, hey, Butler had no leverage. He was under contract. He signed his tender. They weren't going to trade him. He's a restricted free agent, so he plays this year. He'll be unrestricted. If you play at the all-pro level, you can go get Gilmore money or better on the open market, and then you'll get highly paid. But Do you think he's long-term here?
I hope so, but no, I don't. I think he's gone after this year.
If they have a good year, they sign him to a
No,
big,
I think
not
he's
with
gone.
Gilmore
I think
on the
he's
books,
gone
right?
after this year.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. I'm not going to put that at 100%, but if you had to ask me right now, which you just did, I would say he's gone.
So it's essentially like what they got in 14 out of Rivas. You just get an all-pro cornerback for the year.
Yeah, I think this is more of an Asante Samuel in 07 situation where he wanted to get paid. After 06, they franchised him, and you knew after that he wanted his money, he was going.
So we'll see how this plays out, but hey, he's one to shut his mouth and put his head down and go to work.
I can't wait to see this duo go to work. I can't wait.
Who's going to get the top receiver?
I would give it to Malcolm Butler. He's had he's been going against the top receiver.
But if it's a tall receiver, you know Gilmore's taller.
And trust me, it won't always be Butler. Bill will he'll adjust based on the game.
Deep tats are loaded.
Loaded, and I can't wait. We'll see. Injuries always, we got to.
All right, that'll do it for the latest episode of Double OT. Catch us on WPura.com. Download the podcast on iTunes and check our social media handles at Mark Dondero, at Yanni Caracas. We will see you next time.